Midian, and welcome to Shades of Us, a show that delves into multicultural identities and how they intersect. We're here at DeWitt Clinton Park on the west side of Manhattan. This expansive 5-acre space is home to a variety of athletic fields, showcasing the vibrant spirit of the community. In this episode, we'll explore some exciting news in Major League Baseball, shine a spotlight on female professional boxing sisters, dive into the energy of a New York City soccer club, and we'll uncover a heartfelt mission dedicated to preserving a South Korean national sport. Stay tuned for these inspiring stories right after this. Major League Baseball has stepped up to the plate, righting an historic wrong and officially recognizing the legacy of the Negro Leagues. A diverse committee came together with one of its members, an official MLB historian, sharing the in-depth process. The result? Now there are some new names on the roster of baseball immortals.
Worked on a lot of projects in all the sports: baseball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer. This was by far the most challenging, the most educational, and the most rewarding project I've worked on because of the people who deserve the recognition. My name is John LaBombarda of the Elias Sports Bureau, Senior Historian of the Elias Sports Bureau. We've been official statisticians for over 100 years, and we work very closely with the Commissioner's Office on the statistical end of baseball. So in December of 2020, Major League Baseball Commissioner Manfred decided that he wanted to right the wrong of the Negro Leagues not being considered major leagues. So they made that declaration that the Negro Leagues would now be considered a major league. Then he put together a committee to gather all the statistics from the 8 Negro Leagues from 1920 to 1948 that they deemed to be professional. And he put together a committee of historians and statisticians and researchers to do the task. One day my doorbell rang and it was FedEx, and it was a letter from Commissioner Manfred inviting me to be on the Negro League Statistical Committee, which I couldn't get to my computer fast enough to send the email to say yes. And that letter is now framed on my wall in my home office. It's not a letter that you put in the recycle bin or you shred. So I will keep forever. It was a very diverse committee with Negro League historians such as Larry Lester and Phil Dixon and Leslie Heafy and Bob Kendrick, who've written combined 50 or 60 books on the Negro Leagues. So they were an authority on the Negro Leagues. The heavy lifting was done by researchers from the Seam Heads and from Retrosheet, who scoured newspapers and accumulated the statistics from 1920 to 1948. And they weren't looking at the Chicago Tribune or the New York Times or the Boston Globe, because those papers didn't cover the Negro Leagues. So they had to go to African American newspapers to get this information, which was not an easy task. The African American papers sometimes missed a week or so. So that is why we only have 75% of the box scores rather than 100%. We now took that information, the statistical people, the people who know the statistics of baseball, and we had to make decisions on which games to keep. The Negro League teams, the Negro Leagues, were different than the white major leagues because they would play games outside the league just to make money. They would travel by bus and they'd stop in cities on the way and play semi-pro teams, company teams, whoever wanted to play and whoever they could sell tickets for. So we decided that those games really should not count. So several major league records have fallen because of the inclusion of the Negro Leagues. Josh Gibson turned out to be a real big winner on these findings. Josh Gibson's statistics were so good, they were better than Babe Ruth in some categories, Barry Bonds in some categories, and Ty Cobb in some categories. Several players, such as Minnie Minoso, Larry Doby, Satchel Paige, their accomplishments in the Negro Leagues will now be added to their accomplishments in the major leagues. Larry Doby played for the Indians, and he was the second African-American player to play in the major leagues after Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson got all the acclaim, but Larry Doby was close behind him and had all the same issues that Jackie Robinson had. Minnie Minoso played for the New York Cubans, gained 150 hits, which put his career total over 2,000, which is a milestone that some major league players go to reach for, 2,000 hits, 3,000 hits. So he was a big winner. Satchel Paige went to 125 total wins. So these players that played in the major leagues at an older age gained some statistical things that pass some milestones. I tell you, after doing all these statistics and reading so much about Josh Gibson, boy, I would have loved to have seen him play. I would have loved to have, these home runs that he hit 500 feet, I would love to have seen some of them. It would have been awesome probably to watch these guys play. In the meetings, we call this version 1.0 of the Negro League statistics because we hope to find more. And there are people out there who might open up their garage and find the box from their grandfather on the top shelf that has Negro League scorecards of play-by-plays or stories. Don't throw those away. Call Major League Baseball, say, hey, I found this, and deliver it. It might be stuff that we don't have. And that's what we're hoping to find.
Hunter College Center for Puerto Rican Studies, also known as Centro, did a story on the Serrano sisters, siblings competing in the world of female professional boxing.
Hi, my name is Cindy Checkmate Serrano, and I'm a two-time world champion.
And I'm Amanda the Real Deal Serrano, and I'm a 5-time full division world champion. We have two different styles. Like, I'm a southpaw, I'm the brawler. I'm like, get in and I just want to finish it quick, and she's the orthodox and she's the boxer. She has a little more style. She doesn't get hit as much as I do. It's so competitive. When I'm sparring with her, training is so competitive between both of us because I always want to be like, I'm the little sister, but I'm the better one. And she wants to be like, no, I'm the older sister, and I'm going to show, I started this, I'm going to show you how it's done. Good, fun, clean competition between both of us. Bring the best out of each other, and that's why we are the way we are today. Multiple world champions.
I've been fighting since 2003 when there was about maybe 10 females on like the whole entire world. So I was 19, just had a baby, wanted to lose weight. My boyfriend Jordan owned a boxing gym, and he was like, no, let's try this way. It's easier, so we did that. I was very determined, and he saw that in me, and he was like, let's just keep it on, and it went from there. Money-wise, it was a joke. Getting the recognition was a joke because everyone thought female boxing was like foxy boxers.
I didn't start till I was 18 years old. That's why it took me a little longer to actually get into it because I saw her struggle. I was inspired by her determination, and I said, let me try. So I signed up for the New York Golden Gloves, which is the biggest tournament here in New York. And 3 months later, I had my first fight. People are starting to recognize us. The big organizations are starting to recognize female boxing, and it's getting a lot better. I got paid for my pro debut, like when she got paid in
title fight.
Yeah, title fight. Once that door opens, we're gonna come in full force and running, and we're gonna take all the men out of business.
And we look better doing it.
Sometimes I think about it now, and I talk to my trainer about it, and I'm like, wow, to think we started my career being an opponent. And look at me now. I'm a 5-time world champion, full division. I'm like the best female boxers. If they mention female boxing, they say our names. They have to mention our names.
To still have the love for one another, it's amazing because it's a very competitive sport. When we train and we fight, we don't fight for each other. We just fight against everyone else. So we take that very seriously and we bring it outside, and people see that respect that we have for one another. Especially in Puerto Rico, there was no one to look up to. It was always the same names, Trinidad, Cotto, Camacho. So now, Amanda's like a household name. And now I'm coming into the front and everyone is like, you don't understand, like these little girls got someone to look up to.
We represent Puerto Ricans because we're proud Puerto Ricans ourselves, being the first female to headline a card in Puerto Rico. And it was time. Why not fight in a place where they genuinely love you? So it was great.
The fans love us, everyone greets us. It's amazing out there. Definitely now Puerto Rico females have someone to look up to, and I think they were waiting for that.
We both inspire them, and just to continue to our success and continue to do what we do, continue to win and continue to look good winning.
I believe that boxing is like all mental. I believe it's like 90% mental and 10% physical, because there is times that like I don't think I have anything else in me, and then there goes 2, 3, 4 more rounds, and your trainer just like, you can do it, just relax, just zone it out and stuff like that. It's definitely something like, if you want it and if you want to succeed and if you want to be great at it, it's all mental. You just got to believe in yourself and do it.
The training is very, very hard. We train 3 times a day. When it's fight time, 7 days a week. It's non-stop, no days off. You want to be the best, you got to train hard and continue to stay on top. Training is running, hitting the bag, sparring, hitting the mids.
Then, the great thing is that we do it together, because there's days that I feel down and out and I see her grinding and pushing through, and vice versa. She sees, sometimes she's like not into it, but when we work together, we motivate each other, we push each other, definitely if she wasn't around, I definitely would not be as good as I am, and I can guarantee the same thing as her,
We wanted to give back the way people gave us the opportunities. Body and Style magazine, we started to give back to the young people coming up. Their stories just inspire us as well. Like when we sit down and we hear their stories.
It's funny because they're the people in our community. We try to get the people that have a story and are just looking to just branch it out. We have musicians on there, we have artists in there, we have, people in sports and stuff like that just didn't get like the recognition like we've got, and they just need that little push. And we try it, and and they're extremely happy.
And for the young girls looking up to me, I'm so determined in the sport I'm in, because I want to be the best. I want to continue to be the best. Just continue to do what you do, believe in it, and you can conquer the world. I'm extremely proud of my sister. She's the one who got me into the sport. She's so dedicated, she's determined. She really encouraged me to get into the sport. I'm super proud to be her sister.
And Amanda's tremendous. I mean, she's my little sister, but sometimes she has this big heart, and sometimes I feel like she's the big sister. She's a beast in that ring, like there's no other. But outside, she has a big heart. This sport is very competitive, but we never bring that outside of the square circle, outside of the gym. We're loving sisters.
It's great, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here right now. So
together, we're like a force.
We're the Serrano sisters, and we're coming, like I said before.
Coming full force.
Yes, we're gonna conquer the world together.
Meet a dreamer and founder of a New York City football club that promotes soccer culture to different age groups and organizations around the city.
My name is Ashley Gonzalez. I'm from Mexico City. I came here when I was young. I'm an immigrant, DACA recipient, and that's my background. Kickoff Football Club started in 2020, but my career in soccer started very late in my life. I was 27 when I started playing. My dad invited me out one day, and I was really bad. I was terrible. The only thing I had going for me was that I was physically active. I was athletic enough to be able to keep up with the game, So after my dad invited me, I started playing more and more. The pandemic happened, and during the pandemic, there was a couple of groups in 2020, like around May, where people started coming out in this park that you see behind. Actually, I will come and play here with another group at 5 p.m. And then I realized nobody's playing in the mornings. And by then I already have friends. Like I had a couple of people and I just called them up, hey, let's go play in the morning. So slowly it's just a matter of a couple of friends coming together, then people noticing, them letting them know other people. And next thing you know, we're running like 2 games here every day during the pandemic. I met so many people, and Kickoff Football Club got established because one of my good friends, Pablo Barajas, he one day just told me like, Ash, why don't you just turn this into a club? And he worked with a company in Mexico, and one day he came back with like the crest, the logo for the club. It's a simple sport, but they also call it the most beautiful sport. And when you play it, when you really find a love for it, which a lot of people do, you know, like I'm okay with being 27 and started to play because now I run Kickoff Football Club. The importance, and like I said, of football is that it brings everyone together. And there's very few things in the world that do that. Music does that, art does that, football does that. You know, you don't have to be the most skilled, you don't have to be the most athletic. If you just one ball and a couple people come together, it's a simple game to play. And as you progress as an athlete or as a footballer, it starts to get really, really competitive. It's like a very complicated sport. When you like watch professionals, it's like if you get to the nit and grit of it, it's an art form. It's like geniuses playing with one another. It's beautiful. That's why I think it's the most beautiful game. And now I have a true passion for it. Fitness will be the number one, right? Children should be able to get like exercise mandatory. I think it's ingrained in a lot of us that we need to keep constantly move. Football is a very safe sport. It's very unlikely that you're gonna get hurt. But there's a philosophy that I have, which is who you are on the pitch is who you are outside of the pitch, you know? And personally, when I play with so many players, and the people that impress me the most are people who will impress me outside of the pitch as well. You know, I can tell you an example, like my 11th team, we just joined the Cosmopolitan League, which is like the highest amateur league that you can join in New York City. For the first time we went in Division 4 and we went undefeated, 18 games. Nobody beat us and we won the league. And looking back at it, it's like every single one of my players, I chose them because they're great people outside. They're humble, they're team sport, they have leadership in them, they're willing to learn, and there's no negativity around it. So going back to children, it's very important to cultivate that in children, that when you go into play, you know, you're not always going to win. You're not always going to be the best. But it's a matter of it's a mindset that you're always going to have another try next day, and you're going to keep getting better and better and better and better. And those around you are going to keep getting better and better and better, you know? And if you can take that as a child, and then if you go out into the world and you can challenge the world's struggles that it gives you, it's the same thing that happens in the pitch. So Kickoff Football Club runs about 25 to 30 games per week. Right now it's a corporation, but essentially what I want to do is turn it into a non-for-profit. And if all the proceedings that come from all the pickup games that the adults, the community is contributing by coming and playing with us, and all that money that's we're ingressing, if we turn that into a non-for-profit, then the next step that I would like to do is build an academy that's going to be for the community. And we can, in that community, we can have a sliding scale. If you don't have the resources to be able to join the club, then we got your back. But if you do, then it'll be a sliding scale. So that will be like the long, it's not a very long term, actually. I think it's a very short term, and it's gonna happen a lot sooner than I expect. So the Kickoff Academy is in the works. I think Kickoff Football Club is a prime example. I think right now USA is far behind in football. The whole world loves football, but right now USA is trying to catch up. The World Cup is coming in 2026. Right now we have the Copa America that's being played this summer, and I think America is realizing that football is a force to be reckoned with and a sport that needs to come and cement itself as like the main sport without having to really kick anybody else out, because every other sport is great and every sport has their merits. I think also what's going to happen is that there's going to be a lot more community involvement. You can start at any point in your life, whether you are skilled or not, whether you're athletic or not. That's the beauty. I have this guy right here, not gonna mention names, but guy's like 300 pounds. He's lost 100 pounds. One of my good friends, same thing, was like 200 pounds. Right now he's like 150 pounds. Just because he's constantly playing. And it's something that like it's addicting. It really is addicting. You know, you come out, you get the sun, you run in, you make friends, and just being able to take a round object and put it behind a net, it's so satisfying because as a team, you made that happen. So I think it involves everything where like the individual is being like nurtured, but also the team is being nurtured and the community is being nurtured. So it's like all round.
We'll be back after this break. Our reporter, Susan Jun, takes a look back on a story from Asian American life that introduces us to one man who is making it his mission to teach and preserve the South Korean traditional national sport of Shiram.
When you talk about sports from South Korea, most people think of Taekwondo. But one man is making it his mission to teach and promote the lesser-known traditional national sport of Shiram. Using only sappa, sand, and strategy, these opponents are practicing the ancient form of Korean wrestling called Shiram, which dates back thousands of years to the 4th century.
The draw of the energy between the crowd with my opponent and the feel of the sand. It's unlike any other martial art.
And even though it may look like the Japanese sport of sumo wrestling, Shiram is decidedly different, taking place in a sand pit where competitors face off, wearing a cloth belt around their waists and thighs called sappa. The objective is to bring any part of your opponent's body above the knee to the ground, not by overpowering them, but rather outbalancing them, according to Mr. Sang-hyung Kim, who has spent the last 30 years teaching and promoting Shiram in the United States.
우리 씨름의 그 매력은
There's no punching, there's no kicking, there's no chokes. It's purely the form of balance and a very gentleman way of transcending someone's energy to another.
Which effectively means wrestlers don't use brute force, a method that appeals to even the most seasoned mixed martial artist.
I love how it's just the camaraderie. Everyone's so happy and kind. We're all, and you take someone down, you lift them back up, and you rub the sand off their back, and you give them a big hug, and it's always the whole crowd is smiling. It's a very good atmosphere, different than a lot of combat sports that I've been a part of.
The unique form of folk wrestling is thought to have developed in ancient Korea, when bare hands were the only weapons to help people survive against predators. Later, Shiram was used in military operations, and then became a popular pastime with tournaments being held at holiday celebrations and festivals. In 2018, Shiram was added to the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage List, which seeks to protect and preserve cultural treasures, a mission directly aligned with Mr. Kim's.
A lot of Korean Americans will go without any cultural background or traditional takebacks, but through this sport, he wants everyone of every nation to know that, hey, we have a traditional sport in Korea, be proud of it, no matter what your cultural background is. This is ours, but we'll teach you regardless.
Over the past few decades, Mr. Kim has spent considerable time and money trying to preserve the sport of Shiram, teaching at his church in Great Neck, Long Island, and at summer camps, as well as competing in tournaments and performing at festivals throughout the city. drawing new interest in this ancient art form.
Nowadays, more and more the younger people's fascinated with the Shirum's ideas. You have to think a little bit differently because you start with the grip, which is very different than Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Judo, where you have to work your way into getting the grip.
A grip that Mr. Kim hopes will hold on to a new generation of Shirum fans.
Culturally, in our background, since back 5,000 years ago, this was always the highlight of any fall festival. That rush, that resurgence of energy is what he wanted to send off to everyone who is interested in Shirum.
That's our show. If you want to know more about the guests we've featured, check out our Instagram page at Shades of Us TV and online at tv.cuny.edu. I'm Linda Simidian. See you next time on Shades of Us.